Are you looking for a way to create warm and soft colors in your photos like these? Then you're in the right place. Let's do it. So inside Lightroom, I got two photos. I got this beautiful photo of a bride standing in front of a window, and I have this photo of this beautiful couple standing outside. As you can see, they both have these warm and soft tones. And this is the style that I have been using for my almost 100 weddings now. And if I just hit Y, you can see the before and after. This photo over here is the original photo. Right here is my edited version. And you can see I brought out the warm tones in the skin, and I have softened all the highlights around them, also muting the greens and basically removing everything blue. The same is happening if we look at the other one here. I'm adding some warmth in the skin tones, and I am removing a little bit of the green in the flowers. And again, I am softening the highlights. And the way that I usually do this is that I have created two presets for myself. If you look over here, I have a black and white soft, I have the warm indoor and the warm outdoor. And the reason why I have presets for both indoors and outdoors is because I find that there's a little bit of a difference in the way that you're supposed to edit these photos in order to create this look. I'm going to show you how you can do this yourself and what the difference are between the inside and the outside. So let's just reset both of these. I think we're going to start with the one with the bride indoors. So the first step that I always do is I go down here to lens correction, and I just enable lens correction. Now that that's been added, we can close that down and we can go back to the top. Then one of the steps that I use to create the soft look is that I go into the profile, I go into browse. In here you have a lot of different profiles that you can look through. We have some artistic, some black and white, we have some modern, and then we have the vintage. I like to go with the vintage because I feel like they create a little bit more of a softer image. And going through here, there's a few that works, but I like to use the vintage 10. That's just the one that I have found that works best for me. If you find that any of the others are better for you, then by all means just go with that. And when you have that, you can close it down, and right up here you have the amount. With the amount you can go all the way from 0 to 200, and what it does is simply just decrease or increase the amount affected by the profile. I usually like to keep it between 80 to 90, simply because I find that that is the range that works best. Then the next step I do is I like to go down to highlight, and I like to pull it pretty much all the way down to get as much details back. Then for the shadows, I'm gonna go all the way to the other side. Something like 68, I think works. Right now your photo should look very soft and very flat, and that's okay, because soon we're gonna add some more contrast. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up the whites, and I'm gonna pull down the blacks in order to create a little bit more contrast, something like negative 30. Then I'm gonna lower the clarity bunch here down to like negative 30 as well. And I'm just gonna pull the highlights back up a little bit here, something like this, right? Now what I'm gonna do is go down to tone curves, pull up the blacks and create an S curve. We're just gonna pull this up to something like this, pull it back down to create some contrast. Maybe that was a little bit too much here. Pull it down a little bit and create the S curve, something like that. I'm gonna go into the color tab, and I'm just gonna pull the greens a little bit towards the yellow, and I'm gonna go in and pull the yellows a little bit more towards the orange, and that way we create some warmth in her skin instead of creating some yellow skin. Then what I'm gonna do is go into the color grading. Then I'm gonna pull the shadows towards the orange here. As you can see, if I pull it around here, you get some different tones. I like to keep it towards the warmer side, so a little bit orangey, maybe even towards the red, something like that, right? And as you can see right now, there's way too much color in the image. So the way to fix that is to go back up to the basics. You're gonna go down to vibrance, and you're gonna pull that down, and you're gonna pull down the saturation as well, something like 30-40. Then we're gonna up the exposure. Then we're gonna pull up the white balance as well. Maybe something like 5800. Now the image still needs a little bit more of a kick. So what we're gonna do is go back down to the color grading. I'm gonna pull this a little bit further out. And we're gonna up the blending mode all the way to 100. You can see how much that just did just by pulling that up. And now we got some nice warm tones again. And we can even up the exposure even more. And there we go. Before and after in the first one here, we had the nice warm tones in her skin, and we got the nice and soft highlights all around her. If we wanted to, because she's backlit in this photo, we could go back in here and lift the shadows even more, just to give her a little bit more of a softer look. I really like this image, so I'm just gonna take the edits and send straight on to the other one. And to do that, you simply just go to the next photo and you just press previous. So as you can see in this one, it's way too bright. So we're just gonna lower the exposure a bit, something like that. then you can also see that the skin color is a little bit colder. This is because when you're outside, you got sunlight, whereas if you're inside, you usually have some warmer tones of light. So what we're going to do is just lift up the white balance once again, something like 6400 here. And we're also going to pull up the vibrance a bit more, something like 21, and as well as the saturation, something like 32 here. And if you wanted to get rid of all the blue, you can just go down to color and you can just pull out the last bit of blue that is in the photo. As you can see, we're pulling out the last bit of blue in his suit, and this again helps create the warm feeling that we're looking for in this style. And right here you can see the before and after, and we can also throw these two side by side. And as you can see, the skin color matches on both images, and you have this natural, warm, soft edit. Now, if you don't want to do this every single time, here's a bonus tip. You can create the presets. All you have to do here is just to go to presets, click on the plus, and then create preset. Right in here, you get to name your preset. Let's say warm colors outdoors. Now you can choose which group it needs to go into. You can just have your user presets, or you can create groups like I've done. Down here doing all the settings, there's a few of the things that I would like to take away. Personally, I don't like to keep the exposure here because that is the main thing that can vary from photo to photo, as well as I don't like to keep the details in it. I'm just going to click that off like so. And if you use any of the things that I have not used today, you can also take that away. So if you like to use vignette or grain, you can just take that out here. As well, if you like to use transform, you can just pull that away. And if you don't like to use lens correction, you can also just remove that. I like to keep that in because I think Lightroom does a really good job at correcting for those mistakes. There you have it. Once you have chosen what you want to keep, you simply just go down to create, and there you go. Now under your user presets, you have your warm colors outdoors, which means that now you don't have to spend as much time creating the look that you want. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, hit that like button. And if you want to know how to edit a JPEG like a pro, hit this video up here. See you next time.